offered himself as a sacrifice for sin. Prophecy fulfilled. Have you ever wondered how a prophecy written over 700 years before Jesus Christ could so perfectly describe his mission to save humanity? Isaiah 53, 5-6 says, "But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray, we have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all." How did this ancient prophecy come to life in Romans 5, 6-8? Let's explore this incredible fulfillment. Isaiah 53 is one of the most vivid and profound prophecies about the Messiah in the Old Testament. Written by the prophet Isaiah, it paints the picture of a suffering servant, someone who would bear the sins of humanity and offer himself as a sacrificial lamb. Isaiah's words describe the anguish and love of this servant, who willingly takes the punishment we deserve to bring us peace and healing. Centuries later, this prophecy was fulfilled in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The Apostle Paul explains this fulfillment in Romans 5, 6-8. "For when we were still without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly. For scarcely for a righteous man will one die, yet perhaps for a good man someone would even dare to die. But God demonstrates his own love toward us, in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." Imagine the moment. Jesus, innocent and blameless, chooses to carry the weight of humanity's sin. He is arrested, mocked, beaten, and nailed to a cross, not for his own guilt, but for ours. The chastisement that Isaiah spoke of falls upon him, and by his wounds, the way to forgiveness and eternal life is opened for all. Skeptics may question how Isaiah's prophecy connects to Jesus. Yet the parallels are undeniable. Isaiah speaks of someone wounded for our transgressions and bearing the iniquity of all. Jesus' crucifixion embodies this perfectly. As Paul points out in Romans, Jesus' death was no ordinary sacrifice. It was a deliberate act of divine love, offered for humanity when we were utterly undeserving. The sacrificial system of the Old Testament required a spotless lamb to atone for sin, a foreshadowing of the ultimate sacrifice. Jesus became that lamb, fulfilling every requirement and completing the law. His sacrifice was not just an act of obedience. It was the ultimate display of love, proving God's heart for a broken world. But the story doesn't end there. Isaiah 53:11 speaks of the servant's ultimate vindication. "He shall see the labor of his soul and be satisfied. By his knowledge my righteous servant shall justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities." Jesus' resurrection confirmed that his sacrifice was accepted by God. It proved his power over sin and death and offers eternal life to those who believe. Skeptics and non-believers may argue that this is a coincidence or a fabrication by the early church. But how could Isaiah have described the Messiah's role in such detail so long before Jesus' time? The unity of the Bible, the historical evidence of Jesus' death, and the transformation of lives throughout history testify to the reality of this prophecy's fulfillment. The prophecy of Isaiah chapter 53, 5-6, and its fulfillment in Romans chapter 5, 6-8, reveal the depth of God's love for humanity. Jesus Christ willingly offered himself as a sacrifice for sin, bridging the gap between God and man and providing a way to eternal life. This story challenges us to reflect. How do we respond to such a selfless act of love? Will we accept the gift of salvation that Jesus offers? The choice is ours, and the promise of peace and healing is within reach for all who believe.